Folks, if we see the number 47 next to the name LSU for recruiting class in 6 months, then we will have a major story to tell right here. But let's calm down. Let's take it in. Let's understand where we sit here, just about 6 months away from National Signing Day. But it is the 47th ranked class according to the 247 Sports rankings with 6 hard commits. And of course, we go to our source, Lon Phillip Sullivan, LSU Odyssey. There he is. How you doing, Lon?
What's up, Mark? What's up, Mark? Doing good. How about you?
I'm doing well. So Brian Kelly took the job and immediately was hit with criticism. Then he started to impress some people with the way he conducted himself in the program and spring practice and so forth. And things eased up a bit. And now starting to be met with more criticism because of some near misses in the recruiting game.
Yeah. Derek Williams out of Westgate. That's LSU country there in New Iberia, Louisiana. 337 Lafayette, and that's LSU country. You do not lose guys like that from Westgate. Kayshawn Booty, that's his school. Derek Williams, very close friend of Kayshawn's, 5-star safety, powerhouse, 127 tackles last year. I think he's rated the number 3 overall safety in the country, but when have you heard of a top 5 Louisiana safety being a bust? You never hear it. They're always studs, Mark, and they always go on to the league usually. It's tough to lose Derek Williams. It's tough to lose such a player like him. NIL was at play here, but also so was a guaranteed position to start as a freshman. Texas has the room. Texas has the ability to kind of hand him that. LSU, a little more stacked at the position, even though we're in a desperate need to replenish when we're losing guys like Jay Ward, Joe Fuchsia after this season. I understand the criticism with Brian Kelly losing some of these top 5-star guys, but as I said to you last show we did, Mark, with Arch Manning, I think this staff are going to rely on some of their national relationships that they've already established long before their tenure with LSU. Jamar Cain calling on some of those, and you're going to see, I think, the benefit of that. But I think you're also going to see the drawbacks of losing, so many top talents to other schools. Texas coming in the SEC with, Derek Williams playing against LSU. He's not just going to be in the Big 12 anymore. He's going to be a direct rival. It's you don't want to see these guys going to Texas A&M like Denver Harris, Jacoby Matthews. There's an NIL part of this too, Mark. LSU are getting their ass kicked in the NIL part of this, and it's really something that I think the boosters and the program have to get this going. But the boosters really, they find that there isn't a value to spending for one player. And sometimes they don't really see the influence. They don't really see the ahead. They just think, oh, that's one player. I don't see the value. We don't want to splash the cash. And because of that, they're getting impaled. And I'm just telling you, you got to bridge the gap when you're losing the talent we are in the next year or two, especially in the draft. You've got to replenish. You can't just be the Notre Dame of the South. That's why Kelly, halved his staff. One half, Notre Dame guys he knew, one half Louisiana guys, specifically to recruit this state. And I think you're going to see that bear fruit, but, they might take a beating in this class.
Lon Phillip Sullivan on the line with us to talk the Bayou Bengals. And please join Lon on LSU Odyssey, of course. And that's the interesting part of this. So we've been in the NIL game for just about exactly a year, July 1st of 2021.
Yes.
And it was my initial thought, because the questions go in line this way. Okay, who's going to benefit from this and who's going to be hurt by this? My general line of thinking was, well, until we see otherwise, you would think that the institutions that pump all the money into football and have that support from the fan base, from the boosters, to pump all the money into football as it is with the facilities and everything else that goes on. You would think that those would be the same communities that would pump the money into NIL. So I thought, well, the tiers should stay the same, but it's not going to all come through the wash. There are going to be some programs that are going to benefit more than others, and others that may decline in this new world. So this is maybe, I don't want to say some type of alarming situation, but maybe a negative indicator out of the gate.
Mark, I think it also has a lot to do with creativity too. I feel like LSU are lacking in the creativity department with NIL. I feel like there's a lot of stuff they could do with even a platform like mine with NIL. You know, players coverage. You know, there's a lot of different things that you can expand on that. I've got a lot of different ideas myself, but I feel like LSU are getting left behind here in this situation. Even though there's a lot of money being pumped into the institution, maybe it's being kind of pumped into the wrong areas right now, and maybe some more attention, dedicated attention, needs to be on NIL. I can think of a million ways that that can be done. I think LSU can make it happen, but there's also a hesitancy. There's also kind of a fear factor there of kind of putting all of your money into a collective, and there's kind of a distaste for the future of college football with NIL, you know, pay for play, every player. I've seen it from a lot of, you know, the typical average Joe from the LSU fan base. They usually, just on an average, I'm going to say right now, 3/4 would be against the future of extreme, you know, at least right now, the Wild West type of NIL. And that's where we are though, and LSU are getting hurt repeatedly with these 4 and 5 star talents who are taking NIL deals elsewhere.
So the near misses are in the rear view mirror. We will see over the next close to 6 months whether LSU can get back in the game on some of the guys that they have initially missed. Is there anybody else out there that you're keeping an eye on that could be making a decision here in the next few weeks?
Oh, even the next few days, Mark. A piece we put out, I think it was last evening, 6 p.m. or something like that. LSU's next 2023 commits there on the site. We basically mapped out some of the more likely to pop LSU guys in our opinion, who are going to commit over the next little bit here. And right out of the gate, Jackson Howard, July 1st. You know, this is coming just, I think, Friday, basically. And Jackson Howard out of Robbinsdale, defensive end, he's fortified a really strong relationship with Jamar Cain, predating LSU. Now Jamar Cain there in a high octane SEC school, recruiting him. The visits have continued to be positive. He's going, in my opinion, going to select it to come to LSU on July 1st, coming up here, and going to follow him up right there with Joshua Mickens out of Lawrence Central on July 3rd. This is a high 4-star, another really highly regarded pass rusher in the 2023 class, and a class littered with them. A class that's not as strong in the defensive line in Louisiana, actually, this class. So they're going national with a lot of their defensive line targets. And Joshua Mickens is another one. July 3rd, he will announce an exclusive. We were actually able to break the other night that his commitment date. And I really do believe that after a really strong spring recruitment from LSU, backed by incredible summer finale visit, his family, his mother coming down there, I think his longtime relationship with Cain is also proving key down the stretch too. And to the point, but I believe LSU have also grabbed a really strong lead here, and I believe he's also going to commit. But they're also going to do some damage in Louisiana here, I believe, with 2 offensive line targets. Tyree Adams out of St. Augustine, highly regarded, even though he's just ranked a 3-star, really highly regarded offensive lineman right there. Frank Wilson, Cortez Hankton, St. Augustine alums are also helping to recruit him with Brad Davis. But Zalance Hurd out of Neville, he's going to be given his 5th star soon here by the recruiting machine. But he was an offensive line teammate out of Neville with Will Campbell. Bookend tackles, just killing it for A.J. Allen, this running back who put up 2,200 yards and 34 touchdowns last year behind these guys. And I think Zallen's heard, everything's been positive with him, Mark. I'd say 95% out of 100 for me, comfort right now. Confidence that he will pick LSU as well. As far as cornerback, I think Ashton Stamps, corner out of Rummel, I think he's going to come to LSU. But once again, a 3-star. Questions about whether he, is more of a depth pick or more of someone who could really take it to the next level. Very skilled in the special teams department as well, Ashton Stamps, but had a really strong camp and earned that offer. Christian Gray on the 4th of July, cornerback out of DeSmet. This is a former player of Robert Steeples, our cornerbacks coach, who was his head coach at DeSmet. July 4th is when the 4-star is going to commit. We got to hang out with Honey Badger, but, Ohio State, Notre Dame, specifically, Marcus Freeman are right there. It's basically a toss-up, but I just feel like it would be weird and hard to bet against Robert Steeples here. I feel like Steeples will bring Gray home there on July 4th, but at the same time, it's such a toss-up, and the uncertainty for me is right there up with just as much as his potential as a player too. There's uncertainty there. Questions about his athleticism, but a lot of other good strengths for him in coverage. But I don't think it would make or break LSU's DBU class in 2023 is what I'm saying, Mark, if we didn't get him. But Kylan Jackson, a safety out of Zachary, Mark. I feel like this is a young man we have to get. Jordan Matthews, corner out of Woodlawn. You've heard me mention him a bunch on this show. Those are two we have to definitely seal up here out of Louisiana. We cannot lose them. And then, of course, Shelton Sampson Jr., that receiver. Receiver is going to be a spot where we are going to be picked apart when you're talking about DeRay Jenkins and, of course, Kayshon Boutte leaving in the next draft. And, Armarion Miller even decommitted, the number 7 overall talent out of Louisiana and one of the top receivers in the country. 21 touchdowns last year out of North Caddo. You lost him to a decommitment. Can you get him back? You're seeing a lot of top players just going away from Louisiana. Tackett Curtis has already eliminated LSU from his top. Arch Manning, of course, Eli Holstein, Derek Williams. Can LSU, at least hold their own? Curly Reed, cornerback out of Lake Charles College Prep, another top 10 talent out of Louisiana. Can LSU get Curly Reed, Kylan Jackson, and Jordan Matthews to stay in state? That's something I'm really interested in. And at receiver, there's also Harvey Broussard out of St. Martinville, someone who's being really underrated, Mark. Harvey Broussard III. Kai Preen as well out of St. James, another receiver who listed as an athlete, but really, really talented young man. There's a lot of talent in Louisiana, Mark, and LSU. Maybe if the first option they lose out on them, okay, but that second or third option are damn good too, and they've got to hit this mark. They've got to hit it in 2023. This is a very crucial class when you're talking about receiver and DB.
So on the optimistic side, there's 6 hard commits and 5 of them are pretty high 4-stars.
Oh,
so we see this every year at this point in the years that we see some oddball names in the top 10 or 15 in the nation in recruiting. And right now we're seeing Texas Tech and Northwestern, and they're not necessarily, they have not upgraded or improved their recruiting that significantly. They have just jumped in full throttle initially, and they've done well, but they are still getting the same quality of player. They've just got sheer numbers. LSU's only got 6 hard commits. Most teams in the country are in the 10 to 12 to 14 range right now.
Which is why I really just rarely look at rankings when I'm writing an article. I don't think there's anywhere I can actually tell you for certainty, Mark. There's nowhere in our article we put out the other night that LSU now has the 47th ranked class. Like I did say, like LSU losing Derek Williams, Arch Manning, these guys. Is that a sign of things to come? Can they flip the narrative? All that type of talk, of course, but nowhere am I like the 47th ranked class. I rarely look at that stuff because it doesn't matter to me until really the last few months even. And then, it matters unless really doesn't matter unless you're kind of a stat nerd and kind of want that title of number one, which is fantastic to get.
And so I'm going to go from the optimistic perspective on this to the pessimistic look on it. And that's that LSU typically gets its share of top 50 to 100 players. Now, the top 4 to 5 players out of this 6 in this class are strong players, top 300 players in the nation. So they could turn out to be all SEC kind of performers. But LSU typically gets that super upper echelon guy, and they've yet to get him. Their top rated guy right now is, of course, Mac Markway, the tight end, at 147.
Yeah, I was about to say Markway is a fantastic get because position and need, we had to get a tight end, but then we got a superstar tight end. But once again, if you look at Markway, if you look at Markway, Mark, Markway, another dude who had a long time relationship with Brian Kelly, who knew this staff well, knew the Mike Denbrock offense even with Notre Dame, and so coming to LSU was no problem for him. In fact, it was an upgrade. He loves Joe Burrow, already doing the posing with the cigar like he's Joe Burrow on his last visit. Like, this kid is built for LSU. And so you're going to see some people, some fans, a lot of media types really freak out and drive home the criticism about losing this Louisiana talent or this Louisiana talent. But can you equalize that loss of attitude, that loss of fury in this class with national guys? It's hard to say, and I don't think they should depend completely on national guys. I don't think they will, but I think a lot of their July and August pickups here are going to be national guys. I gotta say, I really think that's going to be the makeup of the class for right now. And then at the back end of things, that's when you see them pick up the Kylan Jacksons, hopefully, the Jordan Matthews, but specifically Shelton Sampson Jr., maybe Curly Reed, possibly Omarion Miller coming back to the fold. Jaden Osbury, it's such a toss-up. I don't see him picking LSU now that Notre Dame has entered the fray. I feel like something strange something alchemic is happening there with Notre Dame entering the fray with his recruiting. Caleb Jackson, a big-time running back at a Liberty Magnet, a guy you would bet on LSU to get in most classes, even though they already have a really dynamic running back, number one guy in Trey Holly. You'd expect them to get those two guys. I really don't know about Caleb Jackson, though. I'm trying not to be pessimistic. I'm just trying to say that LSU are going to have to pick their poison here. It would be catastrophic, though, to lose guys like Shelton Sampson Jr., the two offensive linemen, Tyree Adams, Salance Hurd, Jordan Matthews. I don't expect them to do that. I expect them to really, circle the wagons and make sure they nail down at least those top of the top guys for this class. And maybe you see guys like Harvey Broussard, receiver out of St. Martinville, getting an opportunity, getting in this class. And, you see Kai Preen, people like that get into this class because maybe Omarion Miller doesn't return to the fold, and maybe three-star Kyle Parker gets a 4-star and then flips to another school. You never know what will happen. And that was just totally hypothetical with Kyle Parker, by the way. But just a 2023 class, I think it will be hinging more on the national than the local. But I think LSU, this class really has to, Mark, imperative, I cannot stress it enough, has to get Shelton Sampson Jr. You have to get that player above all. That is the one player in Louisiana that you have to get.
Folks, it's Lon Phillips Sullivan. Need I say more? Get on over to LSU Odyssey. Check out his work. It's always worth the look. No question about that. Lon, we appreciate you stopping by. Hopefully you'll have better news for us the next time we drop in. 3 weeks from our discussion right now, we will be in the midst of SEC Media Days in Hoover, and Brian Kelly will be in front of the media to address all of this.
It'll be a wild time. Hopefully, some more coaches will call each other out, and some fisticuffs will happen, and someone will grab someone by the shirt, and they'll no. It'll be all chill, and everybody will be doing kumbayas. But no, hopefully, someone calls someone out, and there's a blood oath going on or something for this future. I think these coaches are really. I feel like Kelly's going down there to kick Saban's ass. I feel like Saban wants to kick Kelly's ass, but it's a friendly thing, you know. Maybe a lot more friendlier than him and Jimbo, but I think this is going to be a very spicy season we got going here, Mark.
Okay. Kicking ass in a friendly way. All right. Thanks, Lon. Appreciate it.